Okay, hi guys. Thank you very much for joining me today and welcome to the Cybersecurity Essentials webinar with me, Max Roberts. The objective of this webinar is to empower you with real-world information and practical advice on the things that you can do right now to take control of your cyber privacy. An important point to make is that this is not designed for IT security professionals. It is made with all levels of skill set in mind. So we're going to keep things quite simple and easy to understand for all. If you have any questions, you can type them into the comments on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will answer them all during the Q&A at the end of this webinar. Now, before we start, I'd like to remind you, please, to keep your microphones on mute, and also please feel free to keep your web cameras off. We have ours off. Okay, so let's get started. To start things off, here's a little bit of information about us. Incognito is the world's first true anti-spyware solution. Most of our team have spent many years working within the world of government surveillance. We know quite a lot about this world. We have witnessed how easy it is for them to deploy spy software against us, and we have witnessed just how easy it is for the average person in the street to go online and buy the same sophisticated spy software for very little money. We know how these tools are made, we know how they hide them on your device, we know how to find them, and we know how to remove them. And that is why Incognito was created. We find the spyware, we help you remove it from your device, and then we offer a huge amount more as well as these new webinars, which we hope you enjoy them. Okay. The first thing is that anyone in the world can be a spy. There are so many commercial spy tools on the market today. Anyone at all can be spying on you. Hackers are no longer your concern. For very small cost, your neighbor, your friend, your boss, your spouse, your kids, whoever it might be, could be spying on you. Now, when I say spying on you, they have full access to your phone, as if your phone was in their hands in real time from across the world. They can hear your calls, they can read your texts, they can read your WhatsApps, they can send WhatsApps and texts on your behalf, they can read your emails, they can see exactly where you are in the world. They can do essentially all of the things that you can do with your phone for under $100. There are no technical skills required. All they need is a credit card. These spy tools are built by real companies who are making huge amounts of money every year. And in most cases, the software that they make is completely legal to buy and use. They call themselves employee monitoring tools or parental control tools, and they kind of sit in the gray area of legal surveillance. The most important and the most concerning thing for me, though, is that most of these spy tools are not even detected by traditional security tools such as antivirus, which means that when you do a scan of your phone for viruses and you get a big green tick to say that your phone is clear and safe, it means that there's no viruses on your phone, but you could still have commercial spyware installed in that they don't find them. That is why you need Incognito. That's why essentially we built this in the first place. So, just the way anyone at all can be a spy, anyone can also be a target. Now, 1 in 3 people are affected by cybercrime. You can be targeted anonymously, you can be targeted by a hacker, or you can be targeted by someone you know. There is a huge amount of ways that you can be targeted. Your information can be, you can be, your device can be. From spying to hacking to scams to the latest breach and leak, there's so many ways that your information is at risk. And that's why we're here today, to essentially help you to protect yourself in all of these cases. Now, the first thing to remember is that knowledge is power. Cyber criminals prey on your lack of technical awareness. In fact, the entire cybercrime industry is now worth over $600 billion. That's billions with a B. And it has all been built on stealing your information and stealing your money. There are over 4,000 new ransomware attacks every single day. Everyone I know have at least know somebody who has been hit by a ransomware attack in the past year, and they're very expensive things to come back from. In the first 6 months of last year, 4.1 billion records were exposed in a number of data breaches. Every week we hear news about banks and medical companies exposing all of their customers' highly personal information. More than half of online fraud happens on your phone. Your phone is more powerful than the computer that put the first man on the moon. It can do a huge amount of things in addition to the things that you do with it on a day-to-day basis. It has 100 doorways into your life, and these cyber criminals do their best to exploit this. The best way to do that is through your phone. You use it every day of the week. So educating yourself is the first step to protecting yourself. So now we're going to take a look at some scary statistics, which will actually give you an idea about the scale of cybercrime, and then will hopefully enforce the importance of good cyber privacy practices. There is a hacker attack every 39 seconds in the world. By March 2019, over 14 billion customer records had been involved in a data breach. At this point, you have to assume that some of your information has been breached at some point, because it's happening every single day of the week. There are more than 6,000 places where you can go online right now, where you can buy over 45,000 ransomware and hacking tools that are created by hackers around the world. You can buy them for a very cheap price and deploy them very easily. This is a huge industry. There are over 300 new types of malware created and sold every day by hackers around the world. Now, there is some good news to put on top of this. Nearly 70% of hackers say that multi-factor authentication, such as 2FA, are their biggest obstacles. And in most cases, if they see that your account has 2FA, they will simply move on to the next one. Now, we are going to talk more about 2FA as we go on, but I just want to say at this point, if you don't have it, you need to have it in place on all of your accounts. Now, the first thing to understand is that in most cases, you are the weakest link. You are the target. People will try and get to your device through you. So you have to remember a few things. You are responsible for your cyber privacy, for your information, and for your device protection. You must understand and be aware of the threats. You must know how to react to them and how to protect yourself from them. Take action. You need to create and practice your own customized security protocol for all of your information and all of your devices. And lastly, be aware. New attacks, new breaches happen every day of the week. You need to know when a breach happens. You need to be able to respond fast. You need to have information at the tip of your fingertips. So, you can use Incognito for that. We send out tips every day of the week to keep you aware. But essentially, if you practice these 4 things, you will be essentially protecting yourself a huge amount more. Now to get into the meat of it. So the top 5 security practices that you need to be aware of. In order to establish a good security baseline, we've identified and defined 5 main things that you need to take a look at. Now we're going to go into more detail on them as we progress. But in a nutshell, they are your first level device protection, your second level device protection, your internet connection protection, and it rhymes, your online interaction and presence, and passwords. Now we could create 500 slides here for each of these, but we're going to just try and just take a few of the main points and deal with them in a really simple way. When we start off with first level device protection, this basically concerns your phone, whether it's an Android or an Apple device. From the very start, you should have these things in place. This is what you should do when you take your device out of its box. Okay, there's going to be a lot of information here now, so let's start. First level device protection is broken down into its own subsections. The first is device access security. You want to ensure your device is password protected. I'm going to talk more about passwords in part 5, but the main thing is you must have a passcode on your device. Use the longest password or passcode that your device will allow. Don't use 4 noughts, don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, don't use your dog's name or your wife's name. Pick a passcode that is hard for a person to guess. If they picked up your phone, would they know your passcode? If your wife picked up your phone, would she know your passcode? If your kids picked up your phone, would they know your passcode? Pick something that's just specific for you. We recommend that you turn off all biometric security. Yeah, it's cool, it's convenient, it's quick, it's fun. Everybody wants to see their face being scanned. But you need to know that if you have this in place, you do have a massive security risk on your device. You could have your device forced open by police. You could have your device forced open by somebody who you know without you even being aware. We've dealt with cases where police have forced others to open their device by actually taking their hand, putting their thumb onto their thumbprint reader and open their device. Your biometric information is not protected in the States in particular by your Fifth Amendment rights. They don't have to ask your permission to essentially put your thumb onto your phone. We've also worked on cases where people have had their phones opened when they've been asleep. Their kids have come in and basically scanned their face while they were asleep so they could go online and install a game or install spyware on that device. So it's very important that you turn off all of these things. The next is you should disable voice-activated assistants. Yes, they are cool and they're great to be able to have your appointment reminded to you over the internet. Sorry, that makes no sense. To have an appointment reminder or to set one or to pick a next song or to do whatever it is you want to do. But the actual reality is that these things do listen to you at all times. We recommend you turn them all off. The next is standby security, which is really important and is very often overlooked. First off is to essentially make sure that you set your screen to lock after a fixed amount of time. Ensure you have activated the automated time lock so that when your device is not in use for an amount of time, it will auto lock itself. This means that it will give you peace of mind if you leave your phone behind, let's say in a bar or in your friend's house, you know that it will lock itself within a predefined amount of time. I would recommend you have that set to 60 seconds so you always know your phone is safe. The next thing you want to do is hide the notifications and messages so that they cannot be previewed from the lock screen. Most devices are set to display all notifications on the lock screen. So what that means is that if somebody picked up your phone, even if you had a really strong passcode, they would still be able to read all of your new WhatsApps as they come in because they sit on front of the lock screen. So they could learn quite a lot about your life from a quick scroll through all of the notifications that can come into your device, your text messages, your emails, your WhatsApp. So to keep prying eyes away, just turn them off so that you can only see your notifications when you have successfully unlocked your phone. Next up is device encryption. Now, we recommend you encrypt your device. It's very simple to do for both Android and iOS. Android encryption, all you got to do is go into your security settings and turn encryption to on. This adds a huge amount of security to your device. When it comes to iOS, as soon as you enable a passcode on your device is encrypted by by default. So make sure you're running a password on your iPhone, and when you're on Android, make sure you're running a passcode, and also remember to encrypt your device. It's just literally one click and you're done. Next, we have protection software. Software. So protection software is very essential. Now, right now, there is no one-fix-it-all solution in terms of security for your mobile device. The great news is that we're working on a one solution to meet all of your needs. It will have a VPN. It will have antivirus. It will have all of the things so that Incognito will be able to protect you all with just one solution. But until that happens, you need to essentially make sure that you are running a suite of security products to tick all of the boxes. It's up to you to manage and to ensure that it's working as it should be. Use a reputable anti-malware solution in conjunction with Incognito. You must we don't really recommend names here because that's not the type of company we are. But if you just go online and just do a search for top 10 anti-malware, you'll find what you need. You must manage your security software. It's up to you to keep them up to date. Once they're installed on your phone, they are absolutely of no use to you unless you have them completely up to date and that they do the job that they say they will do. Finally, we're going to have a quick chat about physical security. Physical security. The first thing you want to do is avoid leaving your phone unattended. This is really obvious, but you'd be surprised the amount of people who think that it's fine to essentially leave their phone behind without a passcode. Just don't leave your phone out of your sight. Don't let anybody use your phone who you don't trust. If they want to install spyware, they could do so in less than 1 minute while pretending to look at your photographs. They would just need to go to a website address, click it, and you're infected with spyware in real time. Don't charge your phone at these free charging points that you find in the airports or in malls or wherever they might be. Yes, you might get some free power into your phone, but most of the time these powering banks are able to install software onto your phone at the same time. So while you're getting power into your device, you could also be infecting your device at the same time. If you must charge on the go, use your own charging cable, bring it with you, or have a power bank. We strongly recommend as well that you physically cover the camera and mic on your device when they're not in use. You can buy a camera cover online. They're very cheap. They're very easy to install, and it's just like a small window that you can close when your camera is not in place. If you don't have that, or if you don't want to go and buy one, just get a piece of tape and stick it on front of your camera so that you know when your camera is not in use, it cannot be remotely activated. So before we move on to the next part, I want to stress to you that your phone is a very powerful thing. It has access to everything. It has access to your bank. It has access to your health records, to your family, to your friends. It is a huge window into your life, into who you are. So protecting it is essentially protecting your privacy. Treat your phone with a huge amount of respect. Second level device protection. So the first level was essentially to set up your device, to make sure it's secure at the very, very start. The next is for second level device protection. We're going to address the security measures that you need to take on a day-to-day basis. First up is updates. Now, when I say updates, I'm talking about the OS that runs your phone and also the apps that are on your phone. You must keep your phone up to date at all times. You must keep your phone up to date at all times. The software that runs on your device is constantly being updated to improve performance, to remove bugs, and most importantly, to patch security vulnerabilities. And the same applies to your apps too. If you do not update, you leave yourself open and unnecessarily exposed. Your operating system and the apps on your device are only as good as their last update. So make sure that you're always running the latest versions. We recommend that you turn on auto updates so that you don't actually have to think about it. You can do that from within the App Store and from within the settings of your device. The next is to choose only safe apps that can run on your device. And I know that's a very big thing to say, but before you install an app, do your due diligence. When you install an app on your phone, it's like inviting a person into your home. You want to make sure that you can trust that person before you allow them into your home, to allow them full access to everything in your home when you're not there. So before you install an app, make sure that they have at least 4 or 5 million reviews on the App Store. Make sure that they've been around for about 6 months. Make sure that their star ratings are more than 4. Most of the users who use the app will essentially find out if they're fake or not within the first 6 months. And actually both Google and Apple are very good at removing these fake apps. So check if they've been in there for about 6 months or so. You want to see they have at least 500,000 installs and a star rating of 4 or more. You can also check our alerts every day. We send out alerts all the time to essentially help you to know what is safe and what is not safe in terms of what apps you can install. Okay, the next thing is you need to understand app permissions. Now, even legitimate apps can ask for unnecessary permissions. Go and check what permissions the apps have on your device and disable or remove any apps that are asking for unnecessary access to you and your life. For example, does a game need permission to access your camera? Does your Torch app need permission to know your location? Does your Torch app need to be able to make phone calls on your behalf? You will be surprised when you go in and look at the apps you have on your phone and check what permissions they have. If you're running Incognito on Android, we have an app audit feature where you can actually go and we'll scan all of the apps on your phone and come back and give you an assessment of the ones that have too many permissions and give you the option to remove them. So if you don't want to use us, just go and basically browse through the apps you have on your phone. The next is you want to disable location tracking. Your device and the apps installed on it have the capability to track you. They know your location, they know where you live, they know where you work. In some cases, they can even tell what restaurant you were in last night or the location of your last purchase. The level of location tracking is highly sophisticated and equally scary. If you want to stop your phone or the apps on it from being tracked, your location. If you want to stop your phone or the apps on it from tracking your location, you can just go and turn this off for both iOS and Android. Go into your settings and disable location-based tracking. You can turn it back on when you want to use it, like when you want to track the Uber Eats driver. You can essentially turn it back on. But when you are not in need of location-based tracking, just essentially switch it all off. Be aware of links and scams. Now, I say this a lot in many of my alerts, but never click on a link unless you 100% trust it. It's the number one way that malware can be sent and received onto your device. Even if you trust the person who sent the link, make sure that you actually trust the link. It could be a link from a friend of yours with a joke or with access to a funny site. Make sure that before you click it, just make sure that it's safe. You can use Incognito for that. We have a website checker. So whether you receive the link via an SMS or a WhatsApp or in an email, you can essentially copy and paste it into our website checker, and we will let you know whether it's safe or not. We will also soon have a file checker, which will allow you to scan any files that you were sent before you open them to make sure they're safe. Beware scams. Keep your ears open and read our alerts so you know what to look out for and what to steer clear of. Remember, the main thing is there's no such thing as a free lunch. If somebody sends you a mail saying we would like to give you 500 gazillion pounds in return for clicking this link, it is most likely a scam. If somebody says click here for free Wi-Fi, it's most likely a scam. There is no such thing as a free lunch when it comes to the internet. So just keep that in mind. Question every link that you receive. Think about it in terms of, am I being scammed here? Next up is our internet security beyond your device. So we're going to start off with your internet connection, and the first thing that you need in order to access the internet is Wi-Fi. So let's talk about Wi-Fi security. When we talk about Wi-Fi here, we're just going to talk about Wi-Fi in your home as an example. We're not going to talk about Wi-Fi from a corporate perspective. It's just you in your home. So essentially, your Wi-Fi is an extension of you and your devices, and you need to protect it. If a rogue device, for example, gets onto your Wi-Fi, it would have the capability to hear and see all of the things that are sent across your Wi-Fi network. If a rogue device connects, they'll be able to essentially see and hear everything that you do when you're on your Wi-Fi. So when you allow someone onto your Wi-Fi, it's the same thing, as I said earlier on, it's the same thing as allowing a person into your home when you're not there to snoop around. So with that in mind, make sure all of your devices are secure before connecting them to your network. How do you know, for example, if your friend's laptop does not have malware installed that is just waiting for a nice clean office or for a nice clean network to attack? If in doubt, say no. Only connect secure devices that you trust completely to your Wi-Fi network. The next up is Wi-Fi router security. Now here are a few things that you can do right now to make your Wi-Fi more secure. The first off is don't let anybody onto it at all. And then you got to go and actually secure what you already have. So if you don't know how to do this, you can contact us and we'll be able to help you with this. But the first thing you want to do is you want to go and change the router name that is broadcast to the outside world. Don't have it as your house name. Don't have it as your name. Just have it as a very non-specific generic name, so that if somebody does a scan, they won't be able to see that belongs to Bob or that belongs to Jane. They'll just see a very non-generic name out there. You want to change the passcode that you get when you buy your router or when you connect to the web for the first time in your home. You take your router out of the box and your passcode is on the back of the box. You want to change that. Those passcodes are really easy to essentially break, to crack. So if you haven't already done so, change your router password straight away. Don't hide the network name from being broadcast, because you can actually scan for names that are not being broadcast. So even if you try and hide them, you can still find them quite easily. And if it was me, I would do a scan to see, can I see all of the networks that are hidden first, and let's try and attack them, because they obviously have some stuff to hide. Don't give your username or password to anyone you don't know, and if you absolutely have to, change it as soon as the person did disconnect. Your passcode is a very important thing when it comes to your Wi-Fi, and you need to protect it. If you can, and most routers have this option, you can set up a guest account so that when people come and access the web in your home, they don't actually have any access to anything else. Next up is private browser. We recommend that you use a private browser as much as you can. Private browsers protect your browsing history and don't record what you've searched for or what you look at online. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I sent a tip out where we actually did recommend a few privacy focused search engines and browsers that you can look at. You should go and check them out. The tip was sent about a week ago. Maybe a week and a half ago. But basically, just remember this. If you do a search with Google, it is tracked, it is recorded. You need to find a private browser that you can use that won't track you. My advice would be to use a Tor browser. Tor is an internet browser that looks and behaves just like Chrome and Firefox, but it also does not track you in any ways and allows you to stay completely anonymous. You can also use Tor to surf the dark web as well if you want to, but you can use Tor basically to keep yourself completely anonymous when you use the web. Using a virtual private network as much as you can. You should use a VPN to connect to the web. When you use a VPN, it adds an additional layer of security by scrambling the location of your device so that you cannot be tracked. Word of warning though, never use a free VPN. They are notorious for selling your information. As I said at the start, there's no such thing as a free lunch, but particularly when it comes to VPNs. You can find a good VPN by doing a search for top 10 VPNs and take it from there. We're in the process of making one for Incognito as well, but in the meantime, do a search and get yourself protected as quickly as you can. In fact, I wouldn't say use your computer unless you're connecting over a VPN. The fifth thing is never use free Wi-Fi. It's like getting free power at the charging stations. When you connect to free Wi-Fi, you give that free Wi-Fi provider pretty much full access to your device so they can essentially install spyware on your device or essentially just see what it is you do when you use the internet. So never use free Wi-Fi, no matter how tempting it is. Okay. Online activity. It is an enormous area to cover, as there are so many ways your information, your device could be at risk. So in this section, we're going to look at how you access your online accounts and what to consider when you're already connected and using the internet. Okay, so now when I talk about online accounts, I'm talking about your Facebook, your Instagram, your bank, your insurance company, pretty much everywhere you have a presence online. First off is online account security. When you create your accounts, you want to make sure that you're using strong passcodes and that you change them on a regular basis. Use a different password for each account so that if one gets stolen in a data breach, your other accounts are still safe. Get a good password manager that can help you with this. Do a search for top 10 password managers and take it from there. If you do not already have two-factor authentication turned on for your online accounts, please do this now. If it's not offered as part of the service, I would suggest you go elsewhere. It's easy to do and adds a huge layer of security that you need to have. Basically, when two-factor authentication is turned on, you will be sent a text message to your phone with an authentication code every time you log into the service from a new device. That means that if a hacker was to have your password, they would also need to have access to your phone as well in order to log on. It adds a huge level of security, and as I said, most hackers will move on to the next target as soon as they see you have 2FA in place. So make sure you do it now. When it comes to accessing your online accounts, you should only access them from trusted devices. You should always log out of your accounts when you're not using them, particularly if it's not from your device. Close the accounts you no longer use. We all open many accounts, give information, make a once-off purchase, and so on. But what we forget about is that we leave that information there with that provider, waiting to be stolen. Limit the risk of your information being stored online. Make sure you close any accounts that no longer serve you. And also, we would recommend that you go in and take a look at the data that's stored in your online accounts. You want to limit the information your online accounts hold. For example, do you need to use a real date of birth? If you don't have to, don't use a real home address or any other personal identifying information or PII whenever possible when creating an account. In most cases, this information is used to profile you for their own marketing purposes or to serve you targeted ads. But in cases of data leak or hacked information, like your date of birth, your home address, and your mother's maiden name, as most of you know, that's all you need to get into somebody's account. So if you have those three pieces, you can access a person's account. So just be really careful about what you put out there on the internet. Collection and storing of information by third parties is a huge topic of conversation now, and companies are constantly reviewing their policies on how they collect and store information on you. They now must fall in line with laws that are designed to protect your privacy. They're always striving to find the balance between providing the best service to you, collecting information about you for sales and marketing, while staying within the law. Do you know that you can request your PII from any online provider? You just have to write to them and say, I'd like you to tell me exactly what you have on me. You can then request to have it deleted. It is the law. Most companies have to provide you with this information and with these facilities. Next up is to manage your online account permissions. For every online account you have, you should go and check the settings and permissions that they request. For example, Google or Gmail users can go and check out the very sophisticated privacy options that Google make available to them. Apple users also have the same option. Go to their privacy settings to see more. In all cases, limit and remove any unnecessary access to your information, to your location and your devices. When it comes to social media accounts, who can see your profile? Is it set to public? Is it just for friends? Can friends of friends see your information? Check and amend the security and privacy settings. People like Facebook, they change them all the time. So once a week, go in and have a look and essentially turn off what you don't want to be tracked about you. For example, TripAdvisor tracks their users where they are and where they have been in order to prompt reviews. So if they see that you've been to a place, they ask you, hey, would you like to review this? Turn all that stuff off. They don't need to be able to access this. When it comes to surfing the internet safely, as we've already said, use your private browser and VPN when accessing the internet. Only go to sites that have HTTPS. Look in the top left of the address bar. If you see a little green lock, it means that website is safe. If you don't trust the certificate, don't use the site. It's quite easy to see sites that don't have this security in place. You'll see a red X at the start of their name. Don't use them, and particularly don't share any information with them. Don't download anything from untrusted or questionable places. Don't download free songs. Don't download free films. If you download free games, yeah, you might get the free game, but you'll also destroy your computer or destroy your phone with malware while you're watching the Avengers film. Your computer or your phone is being hacked. When it comes to leaked data, you want to essentially find out if your email accounts were ever involved in a breach. Now, we have a hack check capability built into Incognito. Just go into the app, type in your address or your main addresses. You can add up to 5. Just all of the accounts that you have, just type them in and we will let you know if that account has been involved in a breach, which then empowers you to go and essentially remove your personal information or to close the accounts down completely and have it permanently deleted. So limit what they have on you and also request deletion of information when required. The last section that we're going to talk about is passwords. We find ourselves almost at the last slide, and we now need to look at the last thing, which is passwords. I cannot stress enough how important proper password management is. You would not believe this, but the most common passwords are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and password. They are not secure. If you have passwords like that, go and change them straight away. Password structure and complexity are vital for protecting your privacy. So we're just going to take a few moments here to talk a little bit more about passwords. It has been proven that complex passwords that are over 10 characters long can take one of the world's most advanced supercomputers over 3 years to hack. If your password's not more than 10, go and change them to make sure they're more than 10. So when you're creating your passwords, here's what you need to remember. Password complexity is key when creating a passcode. A strong passcode must have at least 10 characters. It should be a mix of uppercase and lowercase numbers and symbols. Don't use information specifically about you. Most of this information is easily obtained through data breaches and data leaks. So if you're using your date of birth or your anniversary or your favorite film or your sports team as your passcode, that is actually quite easy to guess. There are likely photos of you supporting your team online somewhere, for example, so their password must be X. Maybe not within your online presence, but your friend could have it. You could be in a picture with your friend, and that's where your password could be gleaned from. Password structure is tricky. But how do you make a strong, complex password that's easy to remember and also very secure? Well, here are some tips. First off, we suggest that you don't use a password, you use a passphrase. A passphrase is a sentence that you swap out letters for numbers or symbols. Because it is a sentence, it's usually already more than 10 characters. You can choose a line from your favorite film or your favorite song, but not something you quote around the office or something that you are known for among friends. No town phrases, no sports, no university mottos. For example, let's take the well-known Christmas holiday song Jingle Bells. Here I have capitalized the J's and B's and changed all of the I's to exclamation marks and all of the E's to 3's, giving us 11 character passcode with mixed both upper and lower letters, symbols and numbers. That's actually quite easy for me to remember. Who's going to forget Jingle Bells? Now, when it comes to password management, it is necessary that you essentially make sure that you are not only using strong passwords, especially as there's so much leaked data and hacked information every day, but it's really important to use a password for each account. That's a strong, complex password that's different for every account that you use. Yes, it does sound a pain, but there is a solution. Get a good password manager for your accounts. Make sure every account is using a unique passcode that is not being used on any of your other accounts. Make sure every passcode is strong and make sure that they are reset on a regular basis. Okay, so that covers everything from a passcode perspective. Now, the next slide is I'm going to talk about the Internet of Things, or the IoT, that we hear being mentioned every day. Now, when I talk about Internet of Things, I talk about all of these smart devices that you can bring into your home that can essentially make your life easier. When I say a smart device, it can be a light bulb that you can control from the internet or from an app, or it can be a camera on your front door as a security camera. Make sure that you essentially apply sufficient security to all of the devices that connect. If you buy a cheap device online for $100, you have to accept that the actual security may not be strong on that device. Make sure you choose devices that have strong security, that are hard to break into. I'm going to do a webinar just for this one over the coming months, because there are so many new devices being brought into homes every day of the week, and the actual reality is that they all represent a huge security hole that essentially you can fix just by being careful about who you allow into your home. The last thing I'd like to say before we wrap this up and before we go to the questions and answers is that you should always think twice about what you say online. When you post online, it is there forever. You feed a massive intelligence machine that on one hand can present you with very accurate advertisements, like how did they know I wanted to buy a blue bike? But on the other hand, the things that you say when you're online can be used against you, can be used to profile you, and can be used to target you down the road. Think about it before you write it, before you hit post, before you say it. Do I want that to be attached to me for the rest of my life? Okay, that concludes the presentation. I hope it was informative for you. We're now going to jump into some questions and answers that you have been asking while the presentation has been happening. As we go on more and more with our webinars, we'd like for you to go in and vote. Go into the app, vote what you'd like to be next. Most people wanted just a security essentials for right now, but go into the app and have a look at what's up, what's the next 3 things that we propose to you. Go and pick the one that you'd like to learn about next, and I will present it in the next webinar. Right, let us now move on to the questions and answers. Thank you very much.